Why, hello and welcome back to another episode of Voice of the Rings. Today, we're going to do a geography lesson for fun. Don't run yet! It'll be fun! We're going to talk about it through the Lord of the Rings maps, as you can see here on the walls. Zollin will be your guide today. We have our books here, and we've got a geography thing of Minas Tirith after it was attacked from the battle. And also over here, we've got some maps and stuff in Middle-earth, so we're going to be using the maps in the Lord of the Rings Online to talk about it. So it'll be a blast. We're going to talk about some basic stuff in certain areas to start with, and I'll probably make this a part series on our Lord of the Rings Lore Master playlist. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If this isn't your thing, that's fine. You can check out the other content on the playlist and when other episodes come out. But this will be a LOTR Lore Master playlist. And I'm really excited. We're going to talk about some geography. We're going to try to make the episodes kind of short, and I'll make them a part series. So there'll be part 1, part 2, part 3. I'll do them in a row, depending on where I put them on the lore playlist. So you kind of always know that they're part of that particular series. So we'll call it The Geography of Middle-earth, Part 1. Alright, my friends. Alright, we got some awesome music. But we're going to turn that off, because otherwise it's going to get too crazy. So what we are actually going to do is, where is my fireplace? I thought I had a fireplace. That's a door to Mordor. We don't need that. Alright. Well, I thought I had a nice little... I'd like some sound effects in the background. There we go. Perfect. We put a fireplace now. I don't know why Zollin seems scared. It's probably because I walked past that really scary creature there. Alright. Well, now that we got a roaring fire behind us. There we go. Let us continue, my friends. So, today we are going to start with the simple things. Part 1. Middle-earth. Now, we're going to be using the Lord of the Rings maps, online maps. But I must press greatly. In the future of these episodes, we might go backwards, and I might show you some pictures, other pictures I have of other maps of the full world of Ardar. So, first thing we're going to learn today, my fellow hobbits, men, elves, and dwarves, is we're going to talk about the geography of what is this area. We're going to occasionally compare things to our world of Earth and Ardar. Ardar, A-R-D-A, is the name of the planet that Tolkien made. Now, in the far past, the planet was more of a circular void with like sides that you could fall off. Later, it was created, the gods created it into a sphere. Okay, so there's a little bit of interesting differences Tolkien took from different beliefs of Greek and all these different over time, right, with things like that. So I thought that was very cool in his lore. But we're not going to go into that deep lore. We're talking about geography lore today in the world of Lord of the Rings Online. I've always wanted to do this, so I'm really excited. So with no further ado, let us begin. So the first big word is you need to know, our Ardar is the planet, Middle-earth is a region. So I would compare Middle-earth to being slightly bigger than Europe in the world, okay? So if you're thinking about the world, Middle-earth is like Europe. That's the cat in my house here. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's going to drive people crazy, though. I mean, I love cats. I don't know if you guys like cats, but there it is. So, I'm allergic, but I still have a cat. It's not going to stop me. We're going to pop outside, so there's a bit of sound of the ocean in the game. It'll be a little better sound effect background. So, this is my house here in Dol Amroth, which is a name you'll want to remember. So we're going to start with very big names. Names you probably know from the movies, and this should help your understanding of the movies as well, okay? So, there's the ocean. Have some pretty sound effects back there. So we're going to go back up. So Middle-earth, Ardar, Middle-earth, right? You can write it down if you want. If not, just have fun listening, because this is just going to be that. So there's a couple main regions within Middle-earth, right? There's Eriador, right? Eriador is pretty much everything that is left of the Misty Mountains and north of the Gap of Rohan and a couple other areas in this region. So, I'm going to open Eriador so you can see these regions down here. I'm also going to move to this side because I want you to be able to see that side over there. So, there's all these different regions down here. Again, they don't have everything named that are named down here, but we're going to talk about those because this is only areas that are actually in the game. They always add new areas, right? So let's talk about some big ones. Breeland. Now, let's not get confused between the difference. We're going to open up Breeland. Let's not get confused between the difference of Breeland and Bree, okay? So Bree is the town or city of Bree, which is this area. It's also called Bree Town. Bree is kind of the generic term for it, but Bree Town kind of encompasses an area of the area, okay? So Breeland encompasses the Buckland, which is, I'm going to move myself again to this side. I've been doing that a while, so I don't... It encompasses Buckland. Buckland is, if you all remember, where Merry is from, right, in the books, and also Frodo moves there for a while, right? And I'm pretty sure in the books that Frodo is actually raised in Buckland by his cousins or something, his family. But interestingly enough, it's actually not the Shire. The Shire is across the Brandywine River, so that's a big one. So let's talk about just big names. I'm going to focus on big things so I don't get you brain exploding too much on this stuff. So Middle Earth, right? It's like the continent, right? Even though it's hooked technically to other parts of the world, it's not all from the ocean. But same thing with Europe, right? Europe is kind of connected to Asia, right, and everything in our world, but we still call it the Europe continent, North America, South America, right? All that kind of stuff. So anyway, so Middle Earth. Eriador, Rohavanian. So Rohavanian, back to where we were, is everything right of the Misty Mountains, all the way over to Rune and Iron Hills, which are all on this side and over there. And then everything north of basically the lands of, pretty much everything north of Gondor and Mordor, right? So technically Rohan is in Rohavanian, right? And Fordowaith is a northernly region, which is not really mentioned a lot in anything. So it's kind of the northern side. Parts of Angmar are in it, parts of the Dwarven lands are in it. But anyway, that's what's good. So now that you know that, let's talk about a couple really big rivers, okay? A couple big rivers that you'll want to know. So there's the Brandywine River. The Brandywine River comes from another one you're going to know is the Lake of Evandam, okay? The Lake of Evandam is actually where the original capital of Numenor was. This is going to be really important in the new series, right, guys, to know this stuff. This is why we're going to do this a little bit more. And again, in other episodes of this playlist, and of this these chapters we're going to do, parts, I will have other pictures that are more detailed maps that aren't just the Lord of the Rings Online. So, but still, we're going to talk about it from here for now. Lake Evandam is the lake where around the big fortress city of Numenos with their castle, right? It comes out from there. The Brandywine River is what comes off of it. It goes south through the Shire. So here's the Shire. It keeps going through the Shire. Here's the Brandywine crossing right here. So if I can get that, it's not letting me hover the little thing there. But anyway, let's go to this side. So that is the crossing, right? So do you remember in the movie where he says it's 20 miles or whatever, right? The what was it? Mary says that, right? Where's the closest crossing when they just get away from the ring race? Well, they just got away from the ring race here, crossing the Brandywine River at Buckleberry Ferry, which is this little crossing here, right? From the Shire to Buckland, okay? Well, he says 20 miles. The ring race had to travel all the way to this. Now, the game doesn't really show... It's a lot farther than that, really. The game doesn't really show 20 miles here, but this is the crossing he was talking about. So then that's a big one to know. Obviously, Bag End, right? Do you remember... why don't we stick with rivers? I'm bouncing around too much for you guys. So Brandywine River comes from Evandam Lake, goes into the ocean down here, right? Great, good, you got it. Another big river that you have to think about is the River Beruna, right? That's the crossing in the movie, right? Where they try to cross to Rivendell. It's right here. There's the crossing, right? That's when they were trying to cross into Rivendell. So if I open this up, move out of the way. So here's the crossing of Baruna. This is where the Nazgul are wiped out by Elrond's power, right? They make it Arwen do it in the movie, but it's Elrond and Gandalf whose magic they're using, okay? So they get wiped out right there, and then you go up to the Secret Pass that's up here into the Rivendell, right? So that's the Beruna. That goes down. It converges with a lot of other big rivers around here, different rivers, and they all converge into this one, into the ocean. Okay, so that's some big rivers that are in Eriador, right? The Brandywine River and the Beruna, right? Beruna. Yeah, I think I'm saying that right. Beruna. Yep. All right. So then we have Rovanian. Let's talk about a few big rivers here, right? So we have two big ones. We have the Long Lake, right, which is where Lake Town is located, right in the Hobbit, and there is the big river that goes through the middle of northern Mirkwood, which do they have a name for it here? I'm trying to remember what the name is. I don't know if Tolkien mentions the name. He might, of the river, but that might be why I don't see just a flat out name of the river here. They didn't really name the river on this map, but it's the one that was enchanted when the dwarves fall asleep and fall into it, right, in the Hobbit. Well, the Bomber does. Bjorn warns them, right, when they go here to Bjorn's lands at the Karak, right, and they go in that. You get the point. So anyway, and that goes into Long Lake, which continues on, and that actually goes into the big sea as in, like, you know, the Mediterranean sea and stuff, right? But that goes into the Sea of Rune, which is what this is called over here. They don't show it here on the map, but it's the Sea of Rune. So that's where that water ends up. And then we have the Anduin, right? This is a huge river, okay? This one basically collects all the water to the east of the Misty Mountain chain, right, of mountains. Collects into all of these rivers. This river basically starts around Bundabad, the northern reaches of Ered Mithlin, and it goes all the way down into, it's where the Argonath is, right? It turns in that little lake that continues on. Literally, the Anduin keeps going, goes through Osgiliath, which I am not showing you because you can't see. See, it goes along here, and it goes all along there, goes through this couple areas here, through Osgiliath, all the way down into the bay near Dol Amroth, where we are right now. We are somewhere right here, right? Looking out of the ocean. So that's a really big one, right? The Andorian River. This is the same river that the ring was lost in for thousands of years, right? And then Gollum finds it, right? Smeagol and Deagle, they find it somewhere up here, or somewhere around here. I forget which side, but I think it's north of Lothlorien, which is right there. So anyway, those are big rivers to know, right? And some big seas and lakes. The Lake of Evandam and the Sea of Rune. All right, so those are big ones to know. So we talked about rivers, we talked about lakes, we talked about main regions, right? Gondor is kind of its own region, by the way. Rovanian, you could technically say it, but I believe Gondor and Mordor are kind of their own regions, right? If you look here, over here. So Gondor is kind of its own region. It kind of reaches... Gondor is basically all of this land. So Gondor rules everything south of the Argonath to about here, where they gave Rohan controls this, pretty much, and then of course Fangorn's kind of its own thing. But and they have all this ruled all the way down like this around here, basically up to these areas. So they own all those mountain ranges all the way to here. Harad is basically all of this land, and Umbar, which is down here, and Krod. These are all lands, and they go farther south. They go really a lot farther south. We'll talk about those in the future. Mordor, kind of its own thing, encased in Mordor, right? And Rune is kind of everything over here. It's technically in Rovanian, right? It's of the region of Rune, like the country, kind of like the country of Rune. It's kind of a little bit confusing. Gondor is kind of a country and a region in itself, I would say, according to how Tolkien did it. But and so is Mordor. But really, technically, Rovanian's the big one on the right side. Eriador's the big one on the left side. Okay? All right, good. Sweet. So now, let's talk about a few mountain ranges real quick. All right? So now you've got a couple things in your head. You know the planet. You know the main, continent, Middle Earth, basically, of this area of the continent, at least. And a couple regions, right? Eriador, Rovanian, Gondor, Mordor. Fordawith is sort of its own thing in the north. Again, a couple of these things I'm guessing because we don't know entirely on this stuff, but it's pretty set in stone how it's laid out, right? How he laid it out around mountains and rivers and stuff. So let's talk about a few mountain ranges. So we have the Misty Mountains. These are the most iconic, right? They're the most iconic for sure in all of the series, as you guys know. That's where Moria is. That's where at the end of the Misty Mountains is Isengard, right? At the middle areas is Goblin Town. At the very northern top is Gundabad, the ancient dwarven realm, right? So they're huge. Lothlorien's right to the right of the Misty Mountains. Rivendell's at the top, right to the left of the Misty Mountains, right? So a lot of stuff around the Misty Mountains, right? Eregion is right here, in front to the left of Moria. So these are all things you can think about, but we won't go into more than that, so you won't get confused. Arid Mithrin, right? Arid Mithrin. Let's go into Rovani. Let's open this up now. So again, what I'm talking about with the Misty Mountains, you can kind of see it there. Arid Mithrin is also translated the Grey Mountains, okay? So Misty Mountains is just Misty Mountains. Arid Mithrin is the Grey Mountains. These are mainly dwarf realms and a lot of dragons control, right? And orcs and goblins. But then you also have the Lonely Mountain, which is really just one giant mountain all by itself. Is it a volcanic mountain? I don't know. I don't think so, because it's got a really pointy point there, and it's not got a caldera at the top, but we're not going to go into that. The Iron Hills are to the right over here. You can see the Iron Hills, right? So they're up here in this area. And then Arid Mithrin is the whole mountain range to the north that kind of connects to the Gundabad and the Misty Mountains at the top here, right? And there's a couple passes that pass up into Fordowaith, and then there's a mountain range above. I believe, I don't remember if they have a name for this mountain range up here. I bet you he does, but it's basically just it's basically Angmar. This whole section up here in these mountain ranges, all Angmar. All right. So then we have Arid Lewin, also known as translated the Blue Mountains. A lot happens here, right? So we have, if we go over to here, right? River Lune. That's another good river to know. This river is a big river that the River Lune travels from a lot of areas here to the left of Evandam, and travels out into the bay near the Grey Havens. Okay? So, singing the seagull sounds and ocean. So, those are good things to know, the River Lune. Arid Lewin has Thorin's Hall, which you know from The Hobbit. Remember, they went and found a new home when they lost Erebor. So they actually traveled from the Lonely Mountain all the way across. They made a new place here, Thorin's Hall, right? And then later in The Hobbit, they traveled through to go to the Lonely Mountain to reclaim it, right? So that's a good thing to know. This also has a lot of significance over here. It's not just the dwarf place. There's tons of elven places, right? So technically, there's Linden here and Fun. I can't remember the other one right now. The other places, but there's the Grey Havens and Kellendim, which is down here, right? I'm gonna move this side. Kellendim. This is the housing area for the elves. Dwarven housing areas up there. And then Dunlund and a bunch of different places. And see, this goes to the Grey Havens to the left. The Grey Havens are over here somewhere, out there. So that's good to know. So those are the Blue Mountains, Arid Lewin. And then we have Arid Nimrils, which are the White Mountains, I believe. Yes, Arid Nimrils, the White Mountains. These are the mountains of Gondor, basically. And the ones that back Rohan on the other side. So up here, if we go to Rohan, you can see there they are still. There's the Gap of Rohan right here, which is a very important choke point you have to always remember in the stories, right? A lot of the fords battles happen right here in the Western Ford. Let's go over to see if I can actually show you guys. Dunland, Gap of Rohan. So here's the fords, the opening, right, where the battles happen a lot. There's Isengard, right? So this is very good stuff to know over there. Oh, man, gotta get back there. So anyway, Helm's Deep is also backed on the White Mountains, right? And what's inside the White Mountains? What does Gimli love behind Helm's Deep? Does anyone remember? If you answered Glittering Caves, you are correct. And it's what Glittering Caves is where Legolas comes back with Gimli and they create the new Dwarven realm in the White Mountains. So that's pretty cool. That's a cool thing to know. There's Edoras. See, I can open this up to the, let's see, Western, there we go. That's a good shot, right? Western Rohan. You have the East Fold here. Edoras, Helm's Deep. Kind of have the idea now, right? This is the Durodel, whatever. Or, excuse me, it's the Dunharrow, the little opening. So yeah, and then they ride to war. Now this is Andorian. This is the area basically where a lot of the beacons are along the thing. And they don't talk about this a lot in the movie, but this is kind of a lot more in the books, right? So there is Nen Lewin, which is the I believe it's the lake that is right here along the Andorian. Let's see if I can show you. There we go. There's a good shot of it. There it is right there. Pretty cool. I thought I could open from here in one of these, but it won't let me. Alright, so that's pretty cool. The mountain ranges of Mordor are just the Mordor mountain ranges, I believe. Let's see if they have a name. No, Arid, there it is right there. I think that's an L. Lithui. Lithui. I don't know what that translates. I bet it's like the Dark Mountains or something, right? And they're all colored by Tolkien. Knowing Tolkien, he probably did that. So, there's Arid Glamoth. That's another mountain range translation. So, Arid usually means, in the translation from the Elvish, is some kind of mountain. But anyway, that's kind of cool. So, my friends, that was about that long as I wanted. I wanted to make about 20-minute episodes. So, part 1 of Geography for fun. I know not quite as exciting as my other stuff, but maybe this will be useful for some of you guys later on. And my next parts, I'll try to home in on certain areas we'll talk about, like the Shire and things like that. I'm also going to have questing guide videos on the other playlist for questing levels if you're a LOTR fan and you need help with leveling and what areas to level in. So, again, remember, Middle-earth is Ardar. Middle-earth is the area on the continent, basically, like Europe is in our world. Then there's the areas of Eriador, Rohavanian, which you right and left for the Misty Mountains. Gondor area, Mordor, kind of their own thing. Rohan, kind of its own thing too, but it is technically Rohavanian. We talked about some of the big rivers, right? We talked about the Andoril, right? Goes along all the way from Gundabad, all the way down past the Argonath, past Osgiliath and Minas Tirith, all the way out to the ocean near Dol Amroth. And then we got Eriador. We have Lake Evandam, which was the capital where Numenos used to be, of the Arnor. Goes all the way down the Brandywine River past the Shire, between Breeland and the Shire. We have the River Lewin, which goes out where the Grey Havens are, near Arid Lewin, the Blue Mountains, right? The Blue Mountains, the Misty Mountains. Arid Mithrin, which is the Grey Mountains. And then we have Arid Nimrast, which is the White Mountains down here, right? So you know some main rivers, you know some lakes, right? We talked about Long Lake over here. And we talked about the Sea of Rune. All right. So, and then, of course, you also then have all the mountain ranges we talked about. So, lakes, some big mountains, regions, the world, Middle-earth. I think it was a good start, my friends. I'll have other maps to use, too, for the future. But, until that time, enjoy this fantastic view off of Dol Amroth of the ocean. It's a great game, you guys. You really play Lord of the Rings online if you haven't already. You really should. Quick little shout out and thanks to my Patreons. Thank you for your support. It's awesome. Links down there if you want to join that. You can join our Discord through that. And then also I have free things to Twitter and Facebook. And also Twitch. If you want to join my Twitch channel. I occasionally play other games on that besides Lord of the Rings stuff. But everything's Lord of the Rings on this channel. And then subscribe buttons can pop up right there. Next episode's going to be up there in the top left of this playlist. And LOTR Taylor main content's over there. So check them out. You guys have a wonderful day in Middle-earth, and I'm your hosting guy, Zollin Ironshield, as always. And I'll see you in the next episode of Voice of the Rings. Whew. That was a lot. There's a lot of thinking in that episode. See ya.